Hey, Tuesday night, Total Schmidt Show. Let's do this.
Total Schmidt Show Season 3 is upon us. Tune in every week. I talk to entertainers from all over the world. Singers, dancers, comics, musicians, drummers, blah, blah, blah. All kinds. Techs, even some cruise directors. Most of the entertainers I talk to work on cruise ships. If you ever wanted to know what entertainers do, how they get through their day, any of the behind-the-scenes stuff about entertaining, we'll talk about that stuff here, as well as we'll delve into some of the entertainers and some of their works, some of their albums coming up, some of the things they've done in the past, things you can look forward to in the future. All that stuff you can catch here on Total Schmidt Show. But either way, get yourself a pizza, a beer, some bourbon, light up a cigar, or some sort of joint, or whatever type of crutch or vice you need to get through the evening, and sit back and enjoy whatever it is I put together this week on You're welcome.
Hey, it's me. I'm in an airport. I'm in Miami. How you doing? This week's episode. Let's stay on the Celebrity Constellation. If you watched the last couple weeks, you saw a couple of cast members from a show called You've Got a Friend, and here's the third cast member, Terrance L. Johnson from New York City. He is the guest today on the episode as I started my way through the intro. Do me a favor, like the video. If you're watching this video, you're a regular. You watch me all the time. Follow me on the socials, all that good stuff. For right now, sit back and listen to my conversation with Terrance. We talked about acting, we talked about auditioning, and he talked a whole bunch about creative input when it came to working in plays there in New York City. It was a cool conversation. We got really into it. It was good. I liked it. He's a great dude. Hopefully by now he's performing in a musical in New York City. If you're there, go see him. If not, sit back and watch my conversation with Terrance L. Johnson. So what about you, man? What do you do after this? First of all, I love the show. You're great in the show, man.
Thank you.
I wish you had a guest entertainer show.
You know, maybe I'm just lazy. But I got on the shit with the intention of building a show.
Yeah.
And I know Evan came on with a show and Peter had a show. And I had an idea for a show. I had 2 ideas for shows, but nothing was motivating me to
You gotta be inspired, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gotta have something that drives you to do it.
Yeah.
You can't just put a show together. That's empty.
Yeah.
You know
I initially thought I'm gonna do a Stevie Wonder show.
Yeah.
And I love Stevie Wonder,
right.
But it was the thought of his music is so challenging. So the thought of having to sing that twice in a night was very daunting. But I was actually talking to Alfreda one day, and she was like, I think you can go a little broader if I make it a soul show.
Yeah.
And then I realized there's so much more music I can actually pull from my life and make a show from.
Right.
So I did start working on that one. And then I got distracted and bored. I started exploring, eating. My big exploration this contract has been learning to love spritzes. So,
Spritz, what's this?
Have you ever? It's Aperol is the main one, so they do Aperol.
Oh, okay.
Prosecco, I think.
Yeah. All right.
And I've never liked them, but I was.
Is that a name for a liquor or a drink? Is that what it is? Basically?
Aperol is a liquor,
okay.
like a aperitif or something like that. It's an Italian digestive.
Aperitif.
Something. Okay. I'm throwing words around.
No, aperitif is. I know. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I have a lame story for that. It's not funny. It was the next lame story. We were at brunch. She ordered a paraffin, and I thought I was going to have a heart attack.
I don't even know what's a paraffin.
She thought it was aperitif, so she was using the wrong word. So she was all like, "Oh, it was embarrassing for her, funny for everyone."
But
because the waiter's like, "What's a paraffin?" She said, a paraffin. It's a paraffin. It's a paraffin. And he explained it. He goes, "That's aperitif, man." And she's just like, "Okay." And I just went, "Ah!" And she was like, "Shut up." Of course, we're on good terms.
Living life.
Or we were still married. But, no, well, that's cool, dude, because you're not going to put a show together unless you're driven and you want to do it.
Yeah.
There's
and it is something I do want to do eventually. Because I enjoy doing ships, but I'm realizing I enjoy doing them for shorter periods of time.
Sure, right.
This 3-month contract it's a long time to be away from family.
No, I hear. Well, that's why. And you mentioned you have a husband, right?
Yeah.
But how long have you been married?
been married. It's coming up on 5 years.
Okay.
Next week. Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard, man.
Yeah.
Where you guys based? New York?
New York.
Okay.
But the funny thing is, like, we were doing long distance for 5 years at the beginning of our relationship, and he was based in the UK, and I was in New York, and then we swapped it this time. So he's been in New York this whole time, and I've been gallivanting around Europe.
Well, at least that kind of falls into the pattern for your relationship, though. You know what I mean? You're used to that.
Yeah.
It wasn't a shock like, oh, now I got to be gone.
Yeah,
you know
yeah. It's great. Yeah.
It still sucks.
It does. It was nice, though. He got to visit for a cruise.
Oh, see, that's the other thing. I don't like celebrity. Do they let you bring them on here? Yes, yeah.
They do. It was kind of our room situation was weird, but he was able to get on. They basically had to walk him on because he wasn't fully on the manifest for some reason.
Right.
So the documentation officer escorted him on the ship, and then
did they come on during your contract? So you were already here.
Oh yeah, I was already here for about like a month and a half at that point.
They've been. I got it. One of the things I love about Celebrity the most is that they're extremely convenient when it comes to bringing someone on. It's easier here than it is on other lines. Other lines are ridiculously difficult. Some are really difficult. Some involve a lot of paperwork.
I was expecting paperwork, and it was literally just like, oh, send his passport.
No, there's a girl I'm seeing. I brought her a few weeks ago. We did a cruise, and I'm bringing my daughter after Thanksgiving for 10 days.
Oh,
and it was it's just an email. Boom, boom, done. She walks on. I mean, they really make it. That's my favorite thing about Celebrity, hands down. Because the traveling is so difficult in trying on relationships, man, on any relationship.
Yeah, I mean, thank God for like FaceTime and WhatsApp and.
God, I don't know how they did it back in the.
I
know a few people that worked ships early on, but if you think about the old sailor days, you know what I mean, where you would write a letter and have to hold on to it until you got to ports where you could mail it. You know what I mean?
And then how are their letters going to find you?
And now you got to go to port and you're like, is there mail? There's mail, and you're all excited. I mean, I can't imagine that lifestyle. We're so spoiled.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're spoiled or lucky. Man, we're lucky. I mean,
I know.
You can pick up a phone. My daughter can call me any time of day. And
then Wi-Fi on the ships now? When I first started, the Wi-Fi was not a thing.
Dude, you're right. In 2 or 3 years, the Starlink thing has changed immensely.
Yeah.
Because it used to be, when I first started, there was no WhatsApp. It was phone cards. So you had to buy a phone card and you had to use a land-based phone. It was almost like an old school dialing phone card where you dialed a number first and you dialed in a code or whatever. But it was still kind of iffy. It was a little difficult, you know what I mean, to get it. But now you can the FaceTime thing. You could never FaceTime or Zoom anything years ago. Yeah. Now you can.
So I'm seeing my loved ones every day, basically.
That's good. So, that really helps.
Yeah, and it's nice to be able to like flip the camera and show them like, this is the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys had a good run, man. This was cool. I mean, I got on in Barcelona, but I really wish I could have done a cruise before that. I've never been over those areas. Like
maybe Croatia. The 2 before. Croatia was never on my list before, but that was my favorite country I think we've been to.
I heard it's unbelievable. I've done inland. I've done Zagreb, landlocked.
Okay.
My ex is from there, so we went there for family stuff. But I've never been to the coast or the Split.
Split's my number one port that I've been to.
Ridiculous.
And like Dubrovnik's incredible.
Right.
It's but Split, that's a special one.
Yeah, I would love to have seen that. Well, that's the event. How old are you, bro? Can I ask?
34.
Okay. Oh, shit, you look great. You look good.
Thank you.
34.
It's because I don't have kids. That's it. I look at my other friends and it's like, oof, they did a number.
Probably a big part of it. Yeah. People are, a lot of times, how old are you? I'm way older than I look, or whatever. But, no, that's good. That's good. Well, then look at the life experience you get out of it. That's cool, man. Now, you get back, you're going right home to New York? Are you guys living in New York?
Yeah. I fly right to New York. I should get there by like 5.
Well, dude, at least you'll be home for the holidays, too. That's good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of travel, but I'm glad I get to do it. But yeah, I'm like going down to my cousins in DC, then popping back up, and it'll be my husband's birthday, also our anniversary that week, and then I think I'm going down to North Carolina to see the family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Right on. Yeah. Good, man. So, when's your next? Do you have another ships lined up, or have you thought about it?
I've So normally with the group I'm with, I'm more of a swing. Yeah. Like, so they'll usually hit me up last minute.
Right.
Which works better for me. Sure. I like being in the city and I like being able to audition. And it's hard for me to say like 2 months in advance or even like 1 month if I can do a contract. So normally they'll hit me up, like if someone can't do it last minute, and then I'll pop on board.
And it's harder too, like even for me, and I do short contracts, I only do 2 weeks is usually the longest I do. But when I left LA, the more I started doing ships, and there was the balance between, right before ships, I was doing a lot of TV, and I had a manager and agent, and taking a ship contract and even leaving for 2 weeks is difficult, because if you're going for 2 weeks, you're not there for the callback, you're not there for audition, and a lot of that is easier now. Like I've recorded a couple this week already, where I sent back to my manager. You know what I mean? Because there used to be a day where you couldn't do any of that shit. Shit, I did a callback live Zoom. Not here, but on the ship 3 weeks ago, off a Norwegian ship, and the feed was fine. It was great. So, but even then, still, because the way I booked the stuff, it would be more difficult for you. If you book something, then you got to cancel the ship, and then you go back to do the. And
I do hate doing that. Like if I say I can do the ship, I hate canceling.
Right.
And so I'd rather just wait till I know I'm available. It's a business decision also, because it's a long-term thing. Like I'm not going to tell the whole story, but I turned down a role at Sons of Anarchy because of that shit. And I didn't want to. I wanted the show. I loved the show anyway, and I knew people on the show. And I asked, at the time I was getting a quote, and I wanted more than the role they gave me. And they said no. So I took the ship gig, and then they countered and gave me 4 episodes and more money. And I go, I don't think I couldn't cancel the ship, because if I would have, I wouldn't be here right now. Right.
And with all due respect, I mean, I've been in the business whatever way for 37 years. Most of it is shifts now, but I work all the time. I can't, you know what I mean? I would love to balance it and find a way to do more TV and do more like SAG. I'm in the union and I got all that stuff. But the turning work down then damages you with the ships.
Right.
And that's a balance the ships are playing with right now. Because then they just won't call you back.
Yeah. I think that's why I'm also not pursuing solo show right now. Right now I'm working with like a production company. So it's their show, and then I can pop in and do it. Right. But I'm not damaging their reputation if I don't do the show. They have someone else.
That's a smart move.
Okay. And I feel like if it was my show and then I had dates booked out for a few months, but then I landed a national tour, which would be my priority, or if I landed a show in New York, it would be my priority, then I would end up canceling contracts.
Right.
I'd rather be in a place where I know I'm wanting to take a break from land gigs.
Sure. Yeah.
And then
go do it for a while. But almost, I guess, a solo show almost, but then again, you never know because you can't predict.
Right.
You know what I mean? A solo show almost works in your benefit, because you can come on as a guest entertainer for just a week or a few days and fill a couple of those, and then be able to balance it. But then again, I played that game for 5 years, and I couldn't find the right balance. I just couldn't figure it out. And the more ship offers kept coming, and even though things like I would get called out and audition a lot and book a little bit here and there, the gap of not booking, the gap of not booking is long.
How do your agents feel about? Are they?
Well, now I have a commercial agent now, and my old manager I still stay in contact with, but they're great now. In LA, it's changed a lot. The vibe has changed, but they want to know. I won't cancel for an audition. I won't cancel a shift for an audition or a callback. I go, if you book me, I'll cancel. But it depends on the line and the and all. So that's the tightrope I'm walking now. So that's why I'm mostly ships. But back then. And it was amicable with my manager. We tried it for 3 years. We tried it. She was like, I don't think we can make this work anymore. I go, I know we can. You're right. I go, I appreciate you trying for 3 years. I go, and my theatrical agent the same way, where we're like, we can't. And back then it was even harder to record auditions.
Yeah.
And the circumstances were different, because I didn't start doing shifts till I got divorced, and I kind of needed to work, and I had kids, so my life. You know what I mean? I had to work. You know what I mean? You get to a point where now I gotta have income.
Yeah.
Where you can't I'll take 3 months out of hopefully book something. You know what I mean? And I kind of miss those days, because honestly, I miss I always call it the lotto aspect of it. I love being able to audition and constantly being one phone call away from, you got this. You know what I mean?
And I feel like I'm away from that right now. I feel like even though I am making good money right now, and I'll be able to survive in the city for a good 4 or 5 months when I get back.
Right.
I have taken myself out of the running for those lotto moments of
right.
getting the call. So that's the balance I'm trying to find. Yeah.
Well, at least getting back to the Wi-Fi we're talking about, that kind of works in our advantage, especially yours, because it's a little bit easier now to be able to stay in the loop.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be if you left LA for 2 months, they forgot who you were. You know, nobody. You know,
that's been the good thing. I've been able to like post content while I'm away, like so people can still hear me singing and they'll know what I'm up to.
Yeah. And you can kind of brand yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I feel like I'm very much still in this stage of my career where I need to be there for auditions, though. You know, like the people need to see me in the room, and they need to.
No, I don't blame you. I envy you. That's great. I would love to be back at that.
Plus, really?
Yeah.
I'd rather them be like, I can't wait for the day where they're like, oh yeah, we'll pull him in for like the callbacks, or we know what he can do.
There was something, man. I loved acting class, and I loved auditioning. I loved both of those things. I felt so alive doing all of those. It was such a big thing to me. I think I was kind of spoiled. I had good rep in LA, so I was going out. I was going out a lot, 3 to 5, 6 times a week.
Oh wow!
And I would read for a lot of big parts, like TV stuff, and then I got to a point where I got quotes, and I had recurrings on some shows and stuff. So I mean, I built up. I always thought it was stupid to go, I have a quote. I was like, if they would book you, why would you not do it? But then my manager explained it to me. And as time goes by, it makes sense. You know what I mean? You have a quote, and then it's just weird. They look at you a different way. But I loved being alive and going into a room full of people with script and trying to doing it. Even the shorter, the better. You have this 5 pages for tomorrow. Sweet, let's go. And I was always really good with copy, or script. I'd get off book real fast, so I could go in and love. But there was something about the energy being in the room with people. Yeah. That I loved, and that's where COVID. And now COVID's kind of screwed it up, because even there's a lot of stuff in LA now. They still don't bring you in the room till the very end. Your first set of auditions are on Zoom. Your callbacks are probably on Zoom, and then they'll have a callback where they bring everybody in. Yeah. But I miss the old rooms when you walked in. There were people, there's energy, there's stuff going on. Yeah. I also think you make a bigger impression when you're right there in their face. Yeah.
And doing these tapes, I ended up recording like 50 plus.
That's the other thing that kills me.
But the third one was the tape.
Right.
But I love going in the room and like what I give. That is the tape.
Yeah, there's something about almost a hanging in the wind feeling of going. There it is. Yeah. Later, as opposed to where you do it here, and you're like, I think I screwed it. You watch it. Let me try it again. No, you're spending 9 hours.
Right.
Recording a 2-minute or a 3-minute piece. And then you look at it, that third one was really better. Yeah. Because you get to the point where you over-rehearse it, you overbeat it. And the freshness is gone. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Very much that.
And then it looks, and you start to notice that in your, yourself as a performer.
Or like I'm anticipating that,
Yeah, and you go, it's obvious I'm doing
I've started capping myself around like 10. It's like,
that's smart.
And if you felt like that one was the one, I give myself a break from it, and then I go back and watch it again. It's like, actually that is strong.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Stop criticizing yourself so much.
Yeah. See, it's such a different animal now, man. You know what I mean? So back then you just walked in and it was over, but now you have so much more control over what they see of you. Yeah. Yeah. Did you study theater?
Yeah, I actually went to school for acting, UNT Greensboro for acting. And I did singing with an a cappella group, so I didn't go to school for voice. But yeah, I was able to have a singing outlet that whole time. But yeah, I think since I got to the city, I've mostly been singing, not so much doing plays.
You got a great voice, bro.
Thank you.
I mean, you really fantastic voice. You know what I mean? It's just, and the going from one song to another. The show you did with the guys was great. I mean, it's just fantastic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's my favorite thing to do.
Well, it's good that it's good that also the advantage also that we have too is that you can focus on. It sounds like you're doing it. Do what you want to do. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, it's got to be like you're talking about putting together a guest entertainer show, and you got lazy. Like maybe something just didn't spark your fire. Yeah. But when you find something you're into and you throw your passion into it, but you don't want to put a show together just to put a show together. Right. That's the last thing. I mean, the whole reason you got into this business, or I got into this business, is there's a lot of change all the time, and you get to create and do what you want.
Yeah. But the last part is the most important part. Do what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting closer. I feel like I'm getting closer with the solo show aspect. I got like the songs together that I am excited to sing and that feel more personal to my life. But then honestly, it's the production aspect of it from that point, like getting the charts and getting the screens and getting all that stuff. And I was like,
yeah, it's so funny.
I couldn't be, but I was like, I should. But
dude, you're like me years ago, where I just wanted to tell the jokes. I just wanted to do the show. I loved doing the show and writing the show. But then everything that goes with it, the booking, the taping, the recording, the promo, the press, the bullshit around what you do, that stuff is just, it's draining, and you don't want to do it. Yeah.
Because I was like, if I really wanted to do it, I think I would be doing it, is the other thing. It's like, if I was really passionate about it, I would be doing it. But I think my passion right now is in the city. Like, I really want to be doing musicals when I get back.
Yeah.
I want to be on... Yeah, I want to be doing musicals right now. And then maybe, like, TV.
Well, dude, I don't blame you, dude. It's hard to turn down the passion, the power of New York City.
Yeah.
And the whole vibe. It's just... You know what I mean? It's just, it's powerful.
I feel like I just need to give it a really good shot. So
yeah, and that's what makes you feel alive. You know what I mean? Every day getting up, and every moment of it. Getting the coffee or going to whatever your coffee shop is in New York City and knowing where your audition is, going to class.
I really miss the coffee in New York City, honestly. I thought going to Italy, I was like, I'm going to get the best coffee.
You didn't?
I got some good stuff, but I was missing my neighborhood baristas.
That's funny. Well, New York City's got the best of everything. It's kind of LA's close to that too. Where you go to the right areas, right places, this is the best Chinese food, this is the best cook. You know what I mean? They couldn't survive there unless they weren't good.
Right.
So it's got to be great.
Yeah. So I'm very much looking forward to going back.
Man, you're going home at the best time too. It's going to be so cool. I mean, shit, I'm going home next week for 10 days. I'm thrilled. That'll be over Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But man, this whole November, December, and the traveling with the family and the husband, that's great, dude. Good for you.
Yeah. And honestly, I have no idea. I usually prefer that, not knowing what's next versus...
Yeah.
Sometimes I get claustrophobic if I know too much, or like, I'll feel like... Is that the right word? I'll feel like stuck if I know too much what I'm doing. Stagnant, maybe, or trapped.
Trapped's better one.
There we go.
Good.
Like...
Yeah, because you're locked in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little uncertainty, I prefer.
Yeah. See, you're again, God, you fucker. I envy you. I miss those years, man. I miss those. When I was younger, I missed throwing my shit in the car and just driving and figuring it out as they go along. And the older you get with kids, and you got to plan it out. But I'm trying to find the right word. I always say it's feeling alive. That spontaneity of. If 4 months from now, I don't know, maybe we'll, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's such a cool place for you to be.
I've had some great surprises along the way. It's like, I could have planned that.
But, but that's such a great place for you to be in, man. That's dynamite.
Yeah. I'm feeling the shift. Like, I know I need to find something that's my own soon.
Yeah.
Because right now I feel very much at the mercy of casting directors and the creative teams. And
Right.
So... For now, I definitely have the goal of doing Broadway. I have the goal of doing a national tour.
Right.
But I need something that's mine. I feel that brewing.
Yeah, I don't know. I reached a point where you wanted to have some more ownership over certain things. Because, like you said, as an actor, you're such a pawn in. It's all about the casting director, the producer. You know what I mean? And every one of them have to like you on some level. You know what I mean?
And even if they like you, it doesn't mean they have the say of if you get the job or
There's
not.
Plenty of times where you have someone that really loves you, and then there's someone in that office that doesn't. You know what I mean? And you're like, okay, or they like someone else more. That happens a lot. You're just farther down the pecking order.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say you feel helpless, but you definitely feel like you have no control.
Right. It feels very much, which sometimes I can't worry about it because it's out of my control.
Well, you got to have that present state of mind, bro, which is where it all works in acting. It's all the same thing because it's like we mentioned it with Evan a little bit. When you do the audition, you have to care but not care. I mean, you got to care about the
that
piece.
took me forever to learn. I call it the roller coaster because I get on the roller coaster of the whole audition process and like emotionally be like the highs and lows of it. And it's like I have to like just step off the roller coaster, do the audition, and then
walk away. And now let it phase you.
Yeah. But that took me like a good 6 years to learn.
Yeah, it's rough, dude. It's hard. Yeah, I have. You get to. It's almost like you're bulletproof. Where you get that's part of the point. That was a big sticking point in my marriage, by the way. Well, my ex had a hard time with the you didn't get it, or you didn't, because there's a point where I read for some pretty big stuff where I'm like, I'm pretty sure there was some of the stuff I read for that I found out I didn't get it on the radio. I would hear, like I was up for a Dustin Hoffman thing on HBO. I really wanted this bad, but although in hindsight it didn't matter. I don't know if there was a show they did in a racetrack called Lucky Strike or something, but they closed it down because they had problems with the livestock. It was, but Dustin Hoffman was in it, and I was reading for his lackey, the guy that hung out with him, and I was close. And I'm like, man, this is the coolest thing ever. But then Nathan Lane took it. So, and I heard on the radio, they go, Nathan Lane is going to do this part. And I go, okay, I guess I didn't get that role or whatever. But if you don't get to a point, dude, it'll drive you mentally. Well, Evan and I talked about this. There's a video that Bryan Cranston did. It's on YouTube. He talks about the audition process. And it's the moment that he understood it and how it changed his life. And that you go into the audition room, and your job is to go. That's your job is to go in the audition room and go. This is what my vision of this character is, and how I can help you, and we can work together. And then it's like a presentation. You do it, and then you're done. That's it. And you let it go. It's all about being present. Therapy helped me with that more than anything. It's about being present. You know what I mean? But once you learn that, then it becomes. Then it's a lot. It is easier. It's way easier. It's almost like a weight's lifted off your shoulders. Where you go, I didn't get it. Fuck. Of course, I didn't get it. Sometimes you even forget. Sometimes you audition a thing and they'll go, you didn't get this part. And also, time goes by, you just know you didn't get it. You know, you start to feel it and you go, I didn't get that.
Yeah.
But you're no longer stressing about it.
Yeah. It's teaching my loved ones not to stress about it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Don't tell them. You know, maybe your husband, you can.
My husband's much better with it, but my mom and my sister, they're always like, so whatever happened with that? It's like,
oh shit, I stopped telling my brothers and shit years ago. It was like, it's just too much. Because you can't explain it to them.
Right.
You know?
And they get invested as well, you know.
Yeah. And then they tell the people, and then you'll hear, and they'll come to you and go, oh fuck, I don't have this. I don't even know you. Okay. Yeah, that didn't happen. Oh, okay, well, hang in there. And you're like, oh, thank you, I appreciate the hang in there speech.
Yeah. I'm trying to get better with, like, when you get asked the question, I'm sure all the time, like, so what's next?
Right.
Getting comfortable with, like, oh, I don't know. You know, sharing that with people versus feeling like I have to have something loaded, you know? Yeah. Or a reason why I don't.
Well, I learned to get to a point where it's one of the reasons I started this podcast is especially guys like you and Evan. People don't realize how talented you guys are and how you don't just walk into this gig. It's not like you walk in and audition at a cruise line to be in it to sing and they give it to you. You got behind you. You got all this theater work and all this stuff you did before you. So you're a professional. I mean, you're a professional, but on a ship, I hear it more often than not. Somebody will look at an entertainer or me and go, man, hang in there and you're going to make it. And you want to go, this is making it. Really. This is just, we have different visions of making it. Yeah. There's the popularity, people think you'll be huge, and then there's, you're working.
This is success. Like, this is success.
This is the definite, if you're working, doing what you love to do, that's successful. Yeah. You're a successful actor, or singer, entertainer. You know what I mean? People don't understand that. So once you embrace that, and you get it, but I stopped trying to explain it to people. Like, whatever. This is it. This is what I do.
Yeah. I've tried to, because, anytime you're at the buffet, I hear it all the time. But I try to, like, distill as, like, okay, I think the sentiment behind it, I accept that,
Well, I try to have empathy and understanding for the people where they come from.
Right.
Because they don't understand, they don't know the business. And obviously, even like you said with friends, if you don't audition, they don't get there's more to it than, you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's just part of the gig. Yeah. You know what I mean? But a lot of times people will ask you at the buffet, they'll ask, damn it, I already said that part. I'm trying to think there was a point I had and I forgot it. Because I'm lame.
Hey, take your time.
Thanks,
It's
man.
your
podcast.
podcast.
It's my podcast. I'm not going anywhere. Yeah, they just don't understand. And you want to tell the guests and stuff. You're just honest with them. You tell them, well, this is what I do, and this is my job, and we'll see what happens. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
But I miss that ink, man. That I can't. That's great. Good luck when you go back to New York, man. Break a leg. Go in there, audition like crazy, and enjoy it. Eat it up. That's just a blast. Yeah, that's cool.
I'm like hoping for some like original pieces. I really want to originate a role, like build something.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like my dream roles as well that I'd love to do Rent again. I'd love to do like Ragtime. I'd love to do.
You mean like an early piece that's been written where you can help as far as the development?
Yeah, that's like still in labs or like still,
So you can add life to that character?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
or like we can start, where there's conversation about what the character is.
Yeah,
or,
where they came from.
Yeah,
you start to really get into it.
I love working on new shows.
It
doesn't pay as to
my.
It doesn't.
Yeah, but that's one of those. It goes back to the creative thing you said earlier of kind of like control in a lot of ways. You're controlling your creative input.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It makes you. That's the creativity part of you.
That's honestly what I've been loving the last couple years in the city is like doing the readings and like, well, this is my point of view on it. Right. And then seeing how things shift, or like my point of view shifting on the character.
Sure.
That I've been loving, but there's not a lot of money in the readings and the labs, but it feels more like I'm like planting seeds.
Yeah, but it's also creatively rewarding.
It really
extremely.
Is. It really is.
Like when you're doing something like Rent or a play, and of course they're fantastic. Obviously, they're amazing.
Love them. Yeah.
But at that point, now your job is to perform this character as best you can and be present in that moment. And so you're doing this character that's already been laid out.
Yeah.
So you're adapting to what they have.
Which, depending on your director, like I was really fortunate. I did Rent last summer a few times, actually. Yeah. I did Rent last summer, and my first director was really big about like, let's go back to the text and like find something fresh from there. Because Rent, they're like Rent head super fans. There is like
they have a cult
formula.
Yeah.
So it was kind of risky to like find a fresh take on the character, but it was great to be supported in that fresh take on the character. I like still honored, what Jonathan wrote.
Right.
But it was interesting to go to like after I did that production. Very last minute, the guy that was meant to be playing that character in DC actually broke his back, so I had to like fly down and do that.
Okay. You're like,
but
sorry,
it was like,
but
but it was like, okay, how do I shift what I built there to fit this production?
Right.
And then after I finished that, another production of Rent happening in St. Louis, he got COVID.
Yeah.
And so I flew in, and then it was a different director's view.
Right.
On the whole world of the show, and so I had to shift the character again, which was interesting.
But it's kind of cool because then you're both learning from each other on some level in that.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe you're bringing something to the table, as any actor should, that he hasn't seen as a director, and he's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I never thought, why don't we go that route? Let's go.
But it was also great because I had to like remove like some ego. I had to like put some, because there's like stuff I built in the first production that I was like so proud of. I was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted to hold on to it, but as I met the different directors, I was like, okay, I do love this thing that I made there, but it doesn't fit here. I have to let it go.
Yeah.
And it was like taking myself out of it and be like, okay, it's not serving the character in this production.
Yeah.
I could have forced it into it, but
sure. And then made it difficult and made it hard and all that stuff.
Right,
but that's a whole ego approach from an actor.
Yeah.
You've got to adapt and collaborate with the people around you to make the whole presentation absolutely right for everyone. So it feels good for you and them, and you know what I mean? So it's all good. You want to be the one cog in the wheel where everyone's like, oh,
because I had this great idea that worked over there.
No, this doesn't work for me.
So,
well, it worked for me.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So that was a cool lesson to learn.
Yeah, it's a huge lesson in ego as an actor, though. It's great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's part of it.
It was funny. That summer, I started off feeling crazy. What is it where you don't feel like you deserve to be in the room? What's that called?
Not worthy, but there's a word for it.
There is a word for it. Gosh. It's going to come to me.
If only one of us was a writer.
Where is that? But imposter syndrome.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All
I was
right.
feeling like imposter syndrome with the first production I did.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, but as that production went along, like, I began to shed that, and I was like, okay, I'm meant to be here. I'm meant to be in the room. So it was really interesting to go from feeling like an imposter to feeling like I had to check my ego.
Right. It's two different ends of the spectrum.
Like, whoa, how did I get here? And so quickly.
Yeah.
And so I made my way back to the middle of
you're like selling down the shit? I don't
care.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let me pull it back. So, but it's nice to feel like I do have the imposter syndrome checked now.
Yeah.
Because that can be very limiting, self-limiting, and
it's also draining. It's extremely draining because then
second guessing.
It doesn't go away after the show. It's with you all day. If you're in a production where you feel imposter syndrome, you're constantly walking around all day miserable because you're beating yourself up from inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And your confidence is rattled. Now everything's affected. Your relationships are. You know what I mean? As an actor, your whole day is shot. Your whole life is you're miserable all day because you feel like you're somewhere you don't belong and you're a lie. You know what I mean?
And I'm expending so much energy, waiting, wait, how did I get this job? And who turned it down? And versus just here. Yeah.
Well, dude, what shit comics have? I remember the first Princess gig I did. I did a Princess Crossing long one, and I ate it. It did not go well. The show did not. I was 10 minutes into it, and I thought to myself, I'm never working for Princess again. It is totally obvious that I don't belong here. And then my whole mind is like, oh my God, I've been lying for 30 years. I don't know why. This is ridiculous.
That is a quick spiral. That's like a very...
Yeah, I go, I was just headlining 2 weeks ago in Vegas. Why? I can't. What happened? I was funny before. I go, I'm not, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here. The whole time while I'm performing the show. Blah, 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 blah. And I get off and I'm sweating. Then I come backstage and they were like, you were great. I go, what do you mean I was great?
And then you can't take any compliments at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they go, some of these people have been, first of all, I knew most of them were from Poland. They were all really, 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 really older. But he goes, but some of these ships have been on the ship for 3 months. It was a long world's cruise. And they go, the beginning 10 minutes I do about the ship and talk about ship life. They go, they've heard that a million times. And I go, I could have used that information an hour ago because then I could have not done it. But that's how I set the tone for my show. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be... So the second show I did that night was like night and day. It just went away. I just rearranged the set, dropped that material, moved some stuff around, worked off the crowd. But on stage, it's amazing. You go from, to, I shouldn't be in this business.
That's so funny. We'll have shows... and we were here for 3 months.
Yeah.
But there's nights we'd walk off and be like, well, I think that was good. Maybe I should.
Yeah. It felt good from inside, right?
Right?
Especially when you're working with other people and you're connecting on stage.
Yeah.
So you guys are,
it's nice. We could check each other and be like, no, you are talented.
Yeah. You're very good.
You're going to a dark place.
Let's
bring it back.
Yeah, let's bring it back down to earth.
It's nice having that support.
Yeah, the ships are weird. Sometimes you have these shows, especially, and the crowds shift. Like I mentioned, this is a crossing, so a 14-day crossing. The crowds are much different. There are a lot of there's people, the age demo is way older, and some of these people are the ultra premium platinum members that have seen shows for 100 years on cruise ships, as opposed to doing a 7-day through the Caribbean, where it's a much different crowd. You know what I mean? The shows are much more alive, and you never know. I mean, sometimes you have great shows on here, during this crossing, but sometimes you don't. And you have to learn not only to read the crowd, but learn to mentally adjust and understand this crowd's going to be this way. My big thing is, especially for stand-ups, and that's for any entertainer, is that expectation will kill you. Don't expect anything.
Oh.
Just go on stage and be present and just be in the moment and let things evolve as they go. And it rings more true for stand-ups because you want to go out there and go, I'm going to crush tonight. This is going to be great. 4 jokes in, you're like, oh, I'm not going to crush tonight. But you got to accept that. That's the way, read the room. So and even from, like you said, your show you'll get a standing ovation, or people will explode after a song, or they'll clap while you're performing. And sometimes they don't clap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can't go there and expect that, because then if you don't get it, that's what rattles you during the performance.
Yeah.
Where you're like, fuck, why aren't they clapping? 7 o'clock was on fire. Why is the 9 o'clock? It's the same people.
Actually, that expectation gets me, because I always expect the 9 p.m. to be more lively.
Right.
So it always throws me off if the 9 p.m. is.
100%. And then
like, what did we do? What did I do?
Yeah, what am I doing? What happened? I'm alive. I shouldn't be here. Yeah. I've been faking people for 20 years, whatever the years you've been working.
Oof.
Yeah, but that's why everything is every show is kind of its own living, breathing thing. You go out there and you just let it create itself, and have fun in the moment, be present. Otherwise, you can't expect it to do well, or can't expect it to do bad. Otherwise it just messes with your head. You know.
Do you do a lot of improv?
I studied improv. I haven't done it in a while, but I did improv all through Chicago, and studied improv in Chicago. I ran a couple of improv groups, taught improv.
Okay.
I did tons of improv, and then I used to do improv on the ships.
Really? I was thinking about your Liars Club just now.
Oh, yeah.
Which felt...
That's why I love doing Liars Club.
Yeah.
I always start with the brother of the restaurant directions, and then wing the directions and go from there. And then I have no idea where it's going after that. And I play off the guys next to me.
Yeah.
And with the captain, you had to be, on this one especially, I had to be on my toes a little bit more, because he interrupted me a bunch of times during my thing. So if I had something set, I'd have been screwed. Yeah. So I didn't. And a couple times I changed it. And I don't care. I'm like, that's why Liar Club is so much fun for me.
The second they really hit.
Oh, good. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Because the crowd doesn't know what to expect. And I literally had a few people come up to me. There was at a martini bar that night, and 2 people walked up. I was talking to another couple, and they walked up and talked about how stupid the Liars Club show was and how horrible it was. But I'm just sitting right there. Right? And then they look at me, and the woman didn't know it was me. And then it hit her, and she's like, oh, I am so embarrassed right now. And I go, don't be embarrassed, whatever. It's also part of the reason I don't hang out at the martini bar a lot. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear comments from people telling me what they thought of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because sometimes some people think they can tell you when they're not happy with the show.
They really do.
And you're like, you got to let that roll and go, yeah, okay, it's cool, it's a job, whatever. But yeah, I did a ton of, I miss improv. I used to do it before COVID with crowd members. I would bring people on stage, more so with kids. Because I used to teach a kids comedy class. And I used to teach kids
on the ship?
No, I did it when my kids were little at school. I started a class in LA. And I originally started as a fundraiser for the school, and then evolved into a show. Basically, I took a bunch of kids 2nd grade through 8th grade, and I let them do whatever they wanted to do, and we honed it into a show, and they did like a live improv show. And it was fun. Yeah, honestly, if I could have found a way to make money doing that, I would still be doing it. It was easily the most rewarding thing I have ever done. It was just so much fun. It was great. So when I started doing ships, I would bring kids on stage and do some of those games and just do, you know what I mean? But I stopped doing it around COVID time and just never started again after that, So I might do it, I might do it again. Back. I might bring them back. There
are no kids on the ship, but
yeah, but it's the same theory. Yeah. The simplest, especially with kids, with improv with kids and any type of jokes, you let them win, let them get the upper hand. I call it the Disney move. If you watch any Disney TV show or movie, the parents are idiots, and somehow the 7-year-old figures out how to solve the problems, and you just flip it, and that's their technique. So you do the same thing with improv, where you let the kid have the upper hand somehow, and I'm always the goof. You know what I mean? And you can follow that same approach with adults as well, because then they're winning. As long as they win, they're fine. And I don't care. Everybody's getting a laugh, not knowing I guided us to the direction where I thought I wanted us to go. Yeah. Did you study improv? You had to if you did theater.
I did. I hated it or I'd just get anxiety about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But then I did take one improv class because I think I had anxiety about it having to be funny.
Yeah.
Or it having to be.
Right.
Yeah. I'd have expectation of what I needed to do.
Yeah.
For those two things, yeah.
But I found a great one where it was like some kind of improv therapy. It was a class I took in the UK where someone would tell you a life story of theirs.
Yeah. And
then you would reenact it in front of them. Like, they tell you the story from their point of view, but then about really 4 actors would be like, there'd be someone playing the mom, and someone playing the best friend, and someone playing whoever had the story. And you'd get 3 or 4 adjectives about the person, and then you'd reenact the situation in front of the person.
That's a great idea.
And it was so cool. Like, you'd see the other people's point of view and their perspectives, and it was more long form.
But long form's good. I studied the Herald in Chicago. That's what we did. I studied with Del Close. You know who Del Close is?
I don't think
he was. If you're an improv purist, you know who he is. He was. I went to Chicago to study with him. That's why I went there. I mean, I grew up in Chicago, but then I left, went to LA, did stand up everywhere, and then went back to Chicago to study with Del.
Okay.
He was the guy that worked with the first SNL guys and Second City and all those guys. But getting back to the therapy thing, that's a brilliant form of therapy.
It was really, and like, people would be so moved watching it.
Yeah.
Like, they never understood where their mom was coming from before. And like, who knows?
No, there's got to be huge realization moments in that.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh crap, that's why Glenn would be upset about this.
Right. It kind of like took them out of it.
Sure.
So they could, and then some of them would be funny. And then some of them would be like heartbreaking. And clearly some would be like a mix of. So that was the first time I truly could be present improvising.
Right.
Not like criticizing myself while I'm doing it. Like, oh, that wasn't funny. You know.
Yeah, but that's pure. That's why I studied with Del. Mm. Del's thing was long form. Mm. Del's thing was the Herald was based on that, and it was never about being funny. Mm. It's always about being present and being in the moment and listening. Those 3 things. You do those 3 things and react. Those 3, and you don't have to go for joke. And that's when improv. It made me a better because I was doing stand up long before I did real improv. It made me a better actor. Helped my auditions immensely because it taught you to be in the moment and listen, as opposed to waiting for your line. I got a line coming up. I can't. Who's there? You know, this horrible prepackaged. You know what I mean? Where it looks bad, you know?
Yeah.
But it was all about, it wasn't about being funny. But that's why that long form, that therapy thing is so much the same. It's so powerful, so great. Because if you can, I wish if you could get on a stage, or even whether you're in front of people or not, but be with other actors and stuff, and just let yourself go and just be in the moment and react to every line and not have to think about finishing a scene or being funny or being whatever. You know, it's power. It's freeing and powerful. You know what I mean? And you just, it's great. What a great idea for therapy. It was phenomenal.
I wish I could remember the name of it, but
I'll Google it. I'll look it up. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, if I can think of it before I leave.
Because we did Heralds where people cried. I mean, there were Heralds where there were emotional suggestions and things happened, and they went in a direction you think it would. There's another show they did that I never did. It was called the Armand Diaz Experience, and it was one guy. They usually brought in a type actor at the time. Jeff Garlin did it a lot because he was from Chicago, and then John Cusack would do it a few times. The Cusack family is really deep in Chicago. But they would come out, they would just tell a story. And then the actors would come out and perform the story and then let that evolve to another story. And then they'd go to a break point and the gentleman would come back out and continue the story. And then they would break back and the actors would come. And then the whole point of any long form of therapy or long form improv was to bring it all together at the end. It was to find a way to make it all come together, which is what the Herald was based on. 3 sets of 3s, then you brought it together. And then at the end, if you did bring it together, it was amazing. Like, I've done a million Heralds, but I've only done 2 perfect Heralds, too. But I remember the exact moment where I was when I broke my foot in one, but finished it, the Herald. I mean, it's powerful. When you're so in the moment that you don't realize it's coming together till it does, and when it does, you all realize at the same time, and you're all like, "Holy shit!" And look, I'm getting, you know what I mean? I'm getting good. We're talking about it now. Well, all the actors know, and the crowd's like, "Oh my gee, oh!" And it just happens out of nowhere. It just happens organically. It's so powerful. Yeah. But it's also such a great idea for therapy. I'm going to look that up. It's a really smart idea.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I got to do it.
No, I was thinking, I only saw one improv thing in Chicago. It was the Improvised Shakespeare.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
It was like the most artful thing I've ever seen. Like,
yeah,
they got a suggestion from the crowd at the beginning of it, and they built a 45-minute show.
Yeah.
In verse.
Yeah. That's amazing.
It was incredible. I've never seen anything like that.
Chicago did so many vibes. Well, the Herald usually came in around 20, 25 minutes, but then they started doing the Improv musical. Have you ever seen that?
I've seen some of those in New York. Okay. Yeah.
And then my buddy was in the original one of those that Del created in Chicago. I can't, Baby Wants Candy, I think was the name of the group that did it in Chicago. And they did the first form of it, and then it became a running show.
Oh.
And that's what Chicago does. That's what Del used to do, is he'd create a show, and then if it took off, it would become its own thing. Beer Shark Mice is another one, which is a different vibe, but it's a great show. It's hard to explain. But you ever heard of Mick Napier? He was with the Annoyance in Chicago, and he used to take improv to another level. Same thing, long-form improv, more game, a lot more games used in that. But it was about creating. It was just about being present and creating with your words and listening. It was just such a great tool, teaching tool for actors. And once they got to a point where they could find a way to make it, like that's where the Shakespeare came from. Oh, you know, it started out as a game, started out as an exercise, it became huge. It got so well, and then they just learned to just keep doing it. And it's phenomenal when you see them do it.
Because they did bring it all together. It was like, how did they...
That's the brilliance of it. Yeah. And when you see it, you're like,
and it was Shakespeare, and they had like the multiple storylines.
That makes it crazy. That's insane. Wow. You got to really be educated in that. You know what I mean? To really know what you're doing. That was my biggest beef with improv and heroes. Was I would do them in LA. I like sometimes you got to really be on top of the news. The heroes are much more pop culture based, where you're going to be aware of people and what's going on right now. So if something would happen where I would be like, I have no idea what story that is. Or I have no idea who that pop artist is, and then I have to fake my way through it. Or then that becomes the game that I don't know. You know, I become the one that doesn't know or whatever. You know, so you make that part of the game or the show. Well, yeah, I love Chicago was brilliant at it. Chicago had so many different levels of that. Shakespeare was one. The musical one was another one. Second City used to do the late night improv suggestion shows, which were great. That's how they created a lot of their new sketches. Was the late night one.
Second City, they just came to New York.
Oh, were they with theater?
Yeah, in Williamsburg.
I'm trying to. Last time I was in Williamsburg.
Yeah, they just opened. Yeah, in Williamsburg.
Good for them, man. That's great.
Because I think what is it? The Village. There's one that closed last year. I think Amy Poehler and.
Oh, that was Amy and Matt Besser's thing. They came out of IO. They were Improv Olympic people. Their show was their theater. We have one theater in LA. Why can't I think of it?
Underground.
I'm going to Google it because it's going to make me crazy. Yeah, Matt was from
Upright Citizens.
That's it. Yeah. MBG. Upright Citizens Brigade. Yeah. And they came from. Matt was one of the creators of that. Matt Walsh, Matt Besser, Amy Poehler. Matt, I studied with in Chicago. He was in a Dell guy, IO guy, when I studied, and he was in the group called The Family, which is Matt Besser, Adam McKay, who's moved on and writes, director and stuff. Who else? A guy named Ali was in that group. This guy Milo was in this group. They were phenomenal, but they were the biggest group at the time, and a lot of guys spurred from there, and that's where UBG came from.
Oh, cool.
And they came, and then Matt started their own theater. It was Matt and Amy, Matt Walsh, right? I think came out of that. They had a theater. They had a theater in New York for a while, near Manhattan, but I'm not sure if it's still there.
Upright Citizen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to it was like in Chelsea. It was north of the West Village.
Or UCB. I keep saying
UCB. Yeah, so I'd go see. They'd have like showcase nights where all their classes would come together.
Yeah.
Those are hilarious.
No, they're great. Yeah, but they came from that same process. Matt was great. Matt was a brilliant improviser.
Yeah, and I want to say like a lot of SNL people.
Oh yeah, well they all had that circle, man. They're all So in LA, it's the Groundlings. That's the ones that they study in LA. But
yeah, okay, I definitely heard about them.
Yeah, and that's where the early version of the SNL characters all came from Second City and the Groundlings. That's where, and then Canada's Second City, which was a whole different world.
Oh, I actually
in Toronto.
I went to a show at that one.
Yeah. That's the original. That's like one of the earlier. Okay. That's who is it? Mike. Who's the original guy that wrote the book, The Improv? Mike Williams? I can't remember. But that's. So if you ever read there's a great book. Have you ever watched Second City TV?
Wait. Okay. Is that the one that
It's
Eugene Levy?
And, John Candy, Catherine O'Hara, Eugene Levy.
Okay, I've seen clips from it.
Okay.
Then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Catherine O'Hara.
She's fun, dude.
Wow.
What a, you know what I mean? Look at her run and career, what she's done over the years. And
actually, the shirt is from Schitt's Creek.
Oh, is it? Oh, right on. Here it is. Yeah. I don't know why I never connected that. Dude, we went full circle.
Yeah. Bringing it all back.
Yeah. Yeah, she was brilliant. But there was Dell worked with those guys, and the books. There's a great book I haven't read it yet about them taping that show because Catherine was on SNL, and she left SNL to do Second City because at the time SCTV they just did it in a soundstage. There was no money involved. They just taped the show, but they loved the creative outlet of it. And I've watched all of the. If you ever get a chance to watch it,
I've only seen clips, but I'm gonna.
You should give it a shot. It used to be on after, and this is earlier versions of Kids in the Hall and other Canadian improv stuff.
I remember that.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's Canadian improv was some great work that came out of there. You know, Scott Williams, he's brilliant. You know, but Second City TV, they would do the stuff at the soundstage. They would just hang out, write these sketches, tape them. The crew would play parts, and it's a great raw thing that became a huge thing that. Everyone that came out of there was enormous. Everyone came out. Dave Thomas. All these guys went on and did huge. Mike Myers. All these guys that came out of that vibe. Mike ended up more at SNL because he came out of there. He was behind the scenes. But Catherine, Adrian, Eugene Levy, Joe Flaherty. Who's the other? Not Dana Carvey, but there's another guy that Martin Short was up there for a while. Yeah, so it's amazing raw early forms of improv. I'm sorry, you said improv. I got excited.
No,
Oh shit, but we got to wrap this up. We got to get out of here.
Yeah. Well, you talking about being present really
Really?
made me think of the improv.
Oh, great, thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on that thing for the last 10 minutes. I'll edit that out. Dude, I'm excited for you to go back to New York and live that life and do that, man. Good for you. Break a leg.
Ready to have some solid ground under my feet.
Yeah, especially after today, a little rock. Yeah. Dude, right to camera. Plug. You have socials or anything you want to plug? Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So you can find me on all platforms at Terrance L Johnson. That's TerranceLJohnson. Yeah. And I post. Yeah. Updates there.
Yeah, no, well, there you go. You want to follow him on there. Thank you so much. Dude, thank you for being here. I appreciate
it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for your time.
You're still watching? That's amazing. Nobody does that. Nobody, but you did. That means you want more. Pick one of these clips. Go for it. I dare you. Hey, also, follow one of those social media thingies.